Hey everybody! Welcome to Let's Fix Live, my weekly show that I do some point during the week with no steady thing because I want to bring the best people on. And today we did that.
Oh,
Oh,
I
yeah.
wasn't ready for that one. I was just going to let you do your intro. Oh, thank you.
Well, that's what the intro is. It's all about like introducing people to some phenomenal voices in the industry overall, making sure that people are, learning from each other. For those of you guys who don't know, Syya is a master of podcasts. I mean, I know you have two like podcasts that you do yourself, which is amazing. Like I know how much goes into that. How many are you producing for other people at this point?
Oh, wow. I mean, gosh, I'd say between my partner and I, we're probably around 15, 20 active right now
Wow.
or so.
And
I would have
all
to count.
different ideal customer profiles, all different businesses you're working with. Like you're doing,
It's different. All industries, all segments, markets, etc. Some internal,
yeah,
some external facing. Yeah, some of them are seasonal. Some of them are like shorter term. They just want it's going and coinciding with like a launch, for example, kind of thing. But
yeah,
yeah, no, it's all over the place.
yeah. So let's start with from the absolute beginning. Why should people be thinking about doing a podcast at all if you're a small business owner?
Okay, first and foremost, we're in the world of digital age, social media. It does run king in a lot of ways to grow brand credibility, build community. I mean, brand awareness, right?
Yeah,
And I think if the pandemic has taught us anything, is that we are a virtual environment. We are a virtual world today, right? And you can do traditional marketing, right, which is still absolutely still valid. Just
yeah,
consider podcasting or digital content in general as an additional tool to be
yes,
able to get yourself out there. The fact that you're doing a live stream, it is not so much. It is not so much that you do this to say, oh, Sia is a podcast producer, whatever. It is actually, wait a minute, there's a ton of podcast producers out there, but can I work with Sia? Do I like Sia? Can I trust Sia?
mhm,
Is she the vibe that's going to work with me that I can, based on my personality type? That's something to think about because as a business owner, no one's going to know who you are unless you put yourself up and out there.
yeah.
So,
For me, like to have that revolving content at all times is really the biggest one from a credibility perspective. To be able to point and say, "Hey, I actually spoke about this 8 months ago. You could just check it out right here."
right.
So,
No,
so,
exactly.
so, what brought you into the world?
Long
Well,
story
well, well
short,
let's keep it PG. Let's not talk about the absolute what brought you into the world. Like that might be a little graphic with mom and dad, and they love each other very much. But
well, that is funny. That is so funny you should say that because my name does mean fourth one. So it means
oh,
fourth one in Thai.
okay.
And I like to say they stopped at perfection.
Ah,
No, but what got me into podcasting, truthfully, is I am a veteran of technology sales for 20 plus odd years.
yes.
And I had the option to leave or stay in corporate America in 2017. And I was burnt out. Truthfully, 20 years in tech sales is a lifetime for so many people. And I literally lost passion,
Yes.
for the process. I was breaking out into hives every forecast call. That's not healthy for your soul or
No.
for you. And so um, I had the option to leave, took a package, and I went traveling for a year and a half.
Good.
And now, mind you, when you're in tech sales, I think of it as a 90-day contract. You're good enough until that quarter ends because you get a new quota every quarter, kind of thing,
Yep.
right? And I never took vacations because of that. And that's
Yeah.
not healthy for the soul.
Yeah.
So,
That's what I did for many years too.
and that's the thing when you pendulum swing like that. So I went from being working nonstop, stressing out, you know, developing unhealthy ways of managing that.
Hmm.
I would like a tasty beverage, maybe more than I should. But then I went to vacation mode and then I went gangbusters. I'm not working. I'm going to go here. And I ended up traveling to 5 different places in the course
Yeah.
of a year and a half or so. And then my business partner like called me up and she's like, "Hey, Sunshine, I know you. You have champagne tastes on no longer corporate budget. You
Yes.
you may want to consider you know saving your money."
Yeah.
But no, and then so she calls me up one day. She's like, "Oh my god, we've always talked about doing something together." She's a serial entrepreneur,
Mhm.
and one day she goes, "Hey, I've got an idea. Why don't we connect small businesses with corporate innovation departments and divisions?" And because there's tons of startups here in the Dallas Fort Worth area, and me
Yeah.
with my technology and my background in technology, I knew so many different major companies that were had an innovation department. So
Yeah.
that kicked off Innovation Calling. That was the first podcast. And
Yeah.
then we were successful. And over time, you can't just have CIOs, CTOs coming into your closet to record. So we went looking for a podcast studio.
Yeah.
Ended up partnering up with a co-working space, and they said, "Look, run our podcast studios for us." And that literally is how we got into the podcast business, podcast production, production, post production, recording, obviously in the studio or remote, and marketing collateral for the podcast. So we're not a marketing agency proper. We will augment marketing agencies. We'll white label our services, or we augment marketing departments.
Hmm.
Ta-da!
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Well, and I love the idea of like when you're reaching out to these people and like, okay, you can't have them come into the closet, but for most people, like for most small business owners, that's a perfectly viable way to go.
Yes,
Like
absolutely.
you really
Yes.
don't need much.
You really don't. I mean, look, this is going to sound counterintuitive as someone that produces digital content. And I've been shifting the terminology. Podcast traditionally is an audio based format, but because of the pandemic, a lot of folks are doing what we're doing, right? We're live streaming, we've got a video presence, and they're interchanging the word podcast with a YouTube channel, right?
Yes.
So I'm kind of leaning into that and saying, fine, roll with it. As far as I'm concerned, any content is better than no content.
Yes.
And
And
so,
like for this, I'm putting it on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, and I let it live wherever I want it to.
exactly. And
Like,
I tell everyone, make YouTube your home base
yeah.
and then broadcast it out. And that way everyone can find you. And of course, everybody, you can take your YouTube channel, embed it into your proper website, and
Mhm.
boom, you've got content that stays in your website, and you can, keep people on your website. So that's good for SEO and all that good stuff. Tons of different ways to do this. So, yeah. And then on top of that, and I'm laughing at, I don't know if you see this
Yeah,
chat
I
coming
did
up.
private dating chat girls.
Woo woo!
Yeah. Woo!
You go bot. But so that's the joy of live stream, right? Sometimes you get bots and sometimes you don't.
Yeah.
The thing though that I encourage everyone from a live stream perspective, as well as even if it's pre-recorded and you want to premiere as live, that's another technique,
Yes.
is take your long form content like you're doing here, Red, and
Yep.
then cut them up into smaller bite size. So if the topic is like right now, I'm saying method or techniques to maximize your existing content, make that a 5 minute playlist,
Yeah.
and then take it into under 60 second. Those are called shorts on YouTube.
Mhm.
It's like the TikTok generation. Those are your ads, basically, right? Take a
And
segment of that 1 minute and
YouTube is so much like pushing shorts right now. It's absolutely like you get so much more leverage with. Honestly, you could do it with almost mediocre content in many ways. Like you really don't need.
absolutely.
It doesn't need to be this like life changing 60 seconds. Like it could be just a very simple like message, like a fun conversation that you have, and you go from there.
Literally, like, yeah, no, if anyone wants to check out, and I will plug in on one of my shows. It's a Tuesday live stream
Yep.
called Not on This Business Bites. It's 15 minutes on Tuesdays, and it's intentionally targeted towards a LinkedIn audience. However, I find it very fascinating. Though I live stream during the day, most of my views, I should say our views, because Ben Baker, shout out my co-host, is in the evening. But
Yes.
I can't guarantee my time in the evening. So that's why I do daytime, and I'm all about team replay.
Yes.
So that's the other thing that people think about with content. And again, I put it on YouTube. I personally don't promote my shows. I do that as an example for my LinkedIn audience to see. So, full
Yeah.
disclosure, I probably should promote my YouTube channel more, but I don't. But that's not my purpose. So, those that want to do what we're doing, if YouTube is your purpose, cultivate it. And I can definitely like walk you through on how to do it. I just don't do it myself. I'm like
Which
that shoemaker saying, shoemakers' children have no shoes.
well, no, like I get these messages all the time from like, okay, well, we could help you do blank. I could do copywriting for your website. I could do whatever. And I'm not saying that stuff isn't important because it absolutely is, but it's a matter of priorities. I can't focus on everything at once.
Yeah, sometimes,
Like
yeah.
so I'm put like even if I'm not completely focused on YouTube, we're doing this through StreamYard, who we both use.
I love it. It's easy.
Yeah.
It's Look, people. If I can do Streamyard, your mother can do Streamyard. Okay, just saying.
I am still at the point where I'm sacrificing small animals to appease the technology gods. Like that's kind of where I am from a tech basis. Like this caveman look is not just like aesthetics. Uh, but
It's
if I'm gotta going to YouTube, I'm getting the chat bots right now because we're getting the private dating chat girls coming with squirt emojis. Um,
Oh, is that what that is?
I
Oh my
think it
god.
is.
Okay. You know what's so funny? I don't have my glasses on, and that you're right. That is what it is.
Yes. Yes, because subtlety is out the window this day and age.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
Yeah. But like I could put it there and then when I do want to step up my YouTube game, I can. But it doesn't have to be the priority today. It just has to be done enough so that I can make tweaks later on.
Right.
So even if you don't have the perfect camera, you didn't pay $200 for a Blue Yeti mic or whatever.
Okay. First off, I do not endorse Blue Yeti as a
Okay?
producer. I don't endorse it. And for those that have it, it is fine.
Yeah.
It is fine. But if you are technologically disinclined, um, I think the form factor really messes people up because you've got the volume in the front, the gain in the back, and people are like, "What's this?" and they're like blowing it out. And the
Yeah.
Yeti like is just not to me.
It's
I've
not
had
plug
more
and play by
issues.
any stretch.
I've seen more issues with the Blue Yeti than anything, and Blue Yeti, come at me and prove me wrong here, but as a producer, and it's a popular product, I have
It
had
is.
more audio issues with that microphone than any other brand.
Yeah. And again, it's good, but I bet you most people don't. I know I don't have an ear for sound quality. I know I don't. And if you don't, there's plenty of plug and play options. I have microphones that are literally, I think it cost me $40 with the boom arm to it.
Yeah, you don't need expensive. I tell
No.
everyone you don't need expensive from the jump. You absolutely do not need expensive.
Yeah.
In fact, I encourage people, if you're not even sure you're committed to this, then don't
Yes.
drop thousands of dollars. It hurts me
No.
to see that.
No. Maybe $100, $150 is probably all you need.
Yeah, you could definitely do it. Okay, so like full disclosure, I've got an out of date Audio Technica. It's a 2100, and I've had this thing for 4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
and it does its job. It's worked extraordinarily well. I think you can get the equivalent for like $70 for this mic.
Yeah.
The a webcam I use is a Logitech, and by the way, none of these people
Yeah.
endorse me. I'm just simply
No.
sharing it. I'm a Logitech person, so I've got the
Yeah.
C920 and the 930, and those things are, I think, around 100 or even less. If it's the 920 is like $60, $50 now.
I got mine because you suggested it, the 930. I think I got mine on a sale for like $70.
Yep.
I mean, like, and you could see the picture. Like, no matter, let's face facts. No matter what, I'm going to look fuzzy. Like, that's just the nature of things.
You don't look
But
fuzzy at all. You look really good. The lighting's
well, no,
really.
I look fuzzy because of who I am as a person. Um,
It's your
but
fuzzy warm. You're fuzzy
fuzzy like a
cool.
teddy bear. Yes.
I know. I want to pet your beard,
Yes.
but I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. That sounds kind of, that could be construed. I'm sorry. Without your consent, of course, I would never say I want to stroke your beard.
It- It's it's weird because I have gotten more compliments on my beard than most life accomplishments than I've had give it. Like I get
You,
more compliments on this than I did from like graduating college.
yeah, that's the funniest thing. You know
Yeah,
why? People cannot grow that beard, my friend. That is
no,
you have. That's an accomplishment that like is well. Hopefully, I don't have the ability to grow the beard, but you know what I'm saying.
yeah. Well, my wife's Italian, so she has a shot, but usually not.
Oh, oh,
Well, that
ooh.
was the joke when she moved into my house. It was her moving in, and I got the dog at the same time, and I said I was suddenly the third furriest, and she still hits me for that.
Oh my God, you're killing me, Smalls. Hey,
Yes,
you're wait, so are we even friends on Facebook? I don't think we're
I'm
are you on
barely on Facebook all that much.
but you're live streaming now, yeah?
Yeah, again, I have it streaming to my page
Oh,
that I
what's your
have.
page?
Broken Salespeople.
Oh, wait, I thought I followed it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
You know I'm
but
gonna
I'm
have to
not
like
on Facebook all that much because it's not where the people I want to talk to are.
no, you're one hundo.
Yes.
One hundo.
And that's
Um,
the biggest thing. Like, I want the content there in case people are looking for me there, but it's not something that I'm actively like. I'll post every day on LinkedIn. I may post once a month on Facebook, but I just want, other than the live streams,
yeah.
but I just do it because you know what? Why not?
No.
It's not a major issue for me to post something there once in a while to just click. It takes in StreamYard, again, we're endorsing a product that isn't paying us, so feel free to send them a note to pay us.
Hi,
Um,
StreamYard.
yes, yes. It takes me like 5 clicks to stream to Facebook, and it doesn't hurt me at all. It doesn't change anything. So I have the content there. People can find me,
Yep.
and it's easy.
Yep. No, that's I'm literally tagging you and sharing it because I never get good views on Facebook. Like it's not my core audience. Quite
No.
frankly, my Facebook audience is my family and
Yeah.
friends who could quite frankly give two shits, and I love them and they love me, but they ain't
I
editing. They're not watching this.
I
Unless
don't
they want
care that
to
my
hit
aunt
me.
had a bologna sandwich. I just don't.
Yeah.
Like
No. Except for
the
my
only
mommy.
reason I'm ever on Facebook is for memes. I will say that point blank.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No.
I
I'm.
don't need to, like, as a business owner, that's not where we need to put our effort. Like, no one cares about Kylie Jenner's LinkedIn profile.
Well, that's not her core audience. That's the whole point
Exactly.
of it. I get it. I know. You know what I find very fascinating though too is just because it's not I don't want to diminish the platforms in general. Each social
No.
media platform has its own value. It
Yes.
just depends who you are talking to, what you're planning to get out of it, and sometimes Facebook might be a cool thing if it's where your target is, right?
The way I've explained it to people in the past is think of them all like a different bar that you go to occasionally.
Well,
Facebook is the
nothing.
most dive bar-y out of all of them. In, in
Facebook is more like church to me.
Well, see, I think a lot of them do kind of push that, but it's kind of like that dive bar that almost anyone gets in, and there's no real standards. Like there's not that sign out front that says no colors. Um, it could, you
Oh,
can
that's
tell the
funny.
kind of bars I drink in now. Instagram
Oh,
is kind of like that first night date spot, like that way too uppity, like a little too expensive, and there's like a sheen on it to make things prettier.
first impressions.
Yes. LinkedIn is like a business mixer. Pinterest is like one of those paint by, paint bars kind of thing. Like they're all good. It's just who are you, like, what environment do you thrive in?
I mean, I don't think I've ever been on Pinterest. I'm not arts and crafty. I, if I'm going to get any level of inspiration, it's usually not. I mean, if you see my house, clearly I am not a Pinterest person.
Like I
But yeah,
know,
right, one hundo.
like I've started to fear the phrase. So I saw this thing on Pinterest. I'm like, oh god damn, we got to go to Michael's now. I don't need,
Um,
yeah,
I got
like
banned
that's
from HGTV. Let's put it that way. Back in the
oh
2000s and 2010s. Wow, I can't believe how long ago that was. But yeah, oh man, when HGTV was having its field day of like all those shows and
yeah,
whatnot, um, oh man, I'd be watching it, and my boyfriend would walk in, see me watching, and walk right back out and not say a word to me. Like, and then there was a couple times he actually blocked it. So I was like, son of a sea cook.
yes.
We got
Well,
some words now.
see, the funny thing about those is me and my dad have done construction basically our whole lives.
Oh.
And so we are like yelling at it like a football game half the time. Like, how do you not know that's a fucking retaining wall? Like, how do you not know that's load bearing? Like, why are you doing this? That makes no sense. Like, did you not put vapor barrier down? Like, we are yelling at them that way.
I'd imagine that's got to be something where you're watching, like, you didn't do that. Like, what? Like, yeah. Ooh.
And in the modern age now, I'm watching YouTube like woodworking videos, and I'm doing the same thing. Like, what? You're just using pocket holes, no kind of joinery? That's bush league. Bush.
But I love that bush league. That's
Yes.
so JV.
Yes.
That's my other
But
favorite term.
so let's assume somebody is thinking about like, how do you know that starting the podcast is the right thing for somebody?
Okay, look. Again, it really depends on what you're trying to accomplish, right? And before you even think about hitting record or think about saying I want to do a podcast, you got to know, and I know it's going to sound so cliched, but you got to know why you're doing something.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you even doing this? And when I'm saying why, it's not, oh, because I want to get 1,000 followers or 1,000,000 followers, or I want, to grow, even if it's the other things I've mentioned, grow brand credibility, grow community, get brand awareness, right? Those are what's.
Yes.
Your why is what is going to get you up and out of bed when you're in a bad mood, you had a crappy day or week, the partners are nagging you, the children are being a-holes, the dogs are pooping in your, on your couch and floor and vomiting everywhere. And then you have to say, yay, I'm going to record now.
Yes.
Because life happens so much that you can find any excuse to not prioritize creating content. Mm-hmm. So your why has to be that fuel to say, I'm committing myself, I'm holding myself accountable. And one of the techniques I suggest to my clients, and I know it sounds funny, but it's so true. It's like an improv activity, is keep asking yourself why, right? So why did I launch a podcast production business, and why am I so passionate? I'll tell you exactly why. It's because right before we launched, I had 7 family members and friends near and dear to me pass away within 6 months. And during that time of all that, I kind of got into genealogy to kind of get my mind distracted. And I realized right after your grandparents, everyone becomes birth dates, death dates, and a name. Yeah. There's no soul. There's no love, life, laughter. Mm-hmm. What was this person all about? And that's why, to me helping people create that why in them, that legacy for them to say, I matter, I'm doing something, and I can make it under a business context, that fuels me, right? Yeah. If you're a business, your business why needs to be, what is that underlying mission, value, principle that makes our company different from every other person that does everything that we do, but we do it differently because that's the why.
And it's shocking to me how few companies have that like unique value proposition side of it. Like what sets them apart? Like even when I go on podcasts, like, okay, who is your ideal audience? Like anytime I'm a podcast guest, that's one of the questions that I ask. Yep. Like, who is your ideal listener? And they're like, wow, we never sat down and thought about that.
Right. Well, because they think, oh, it's like, if I build it, they will come. Well, if I, put a podcast up, they will come. It's like, no, dude.
No. Great products fail all the time.
You don't have the story around it. You don't have the value as to why I should give a damn about it. Are you even making it interesting for me to listen? Right? Is this something where I could just chill and multitask with? Is this something where I need to take notes? Is this something where I'm going to laugh and just be like, you know what? I'm going to have a sip of wine and, a drink with antioxidants that might or might not be fermented. You know what I mean? Like, what is it? What's the message you want to take? And then think about this, because I actually got constructive feedback, and they're like, oh, well, you just want to talk about legacy. Who gives a shit? We're talking about business. It's like, slow your roll here. Mm-hmm. Don't confuse your why with what you're saying, with what your content is. Your why is to be your fuel, what you're actually saying and what you're doing. If you want to monetize, if you want to, again, build your brand credibility, awareness, whatever have you, whatever that purpose, that's your what, right?
And
So,
that has like build your brand, build your personal brand. Like it's become this like chant nowadays that keeps getting said over and over and over again, and so few people can explain what a personal brand is.
oh
Like
my goodness.
it's so just like it's like the phrase you need to add value. Okay, so what's value?
Yeah.
Like anytime your answer is something where people could say, okay, what's that? And you can't explain the next question, you can't explain the next why, you don't really have an answer.
Nope. I love that. I'm 100%. And that's the same thing. And I know it's one of the techniques you offer in your training is
Yes.
keep asking your client, because most of the times with
Yeah.
client and sales engagements in general, they don't even know.
So I was on a group call yesterday with a handful of people like Marcus Kauke, Eric Steves, like a lot of like sales professionals.
Hmm.
What we were talking about over and over again is if you don't solve a problem for them, you don't have a right to a sale. If your podcast doesn't solve a problem for them, even if it's just like an entertainment side of it, there's no reason for it to really exist.
Yeah.
So
Hundo.
and it's tricky now because there are so many podcasts. So how do you stand out in a space like this?
Okay. So say this to everybody. Consistency matters. So whatever
Yes.
your message is, be consistent and understand. I get it. Life happens. If you're an
Mhm.
entrepreneur or a solopreneur and this is your livelihood, I get it.
Yes.
If you're going to do some kind of content, then tell your audience from the jump. Create seasons. So you can literally say, hey, everyone, for the next 12 weeks, season one, we're talking about this. And you make it very clear. I'm going to be with you for these 12 weeks or whatever have you, right?
Yes.
If your audience understands that, then they know in their minds that you're not flaking when you stop after those 12 weeks. Now,
Yes.
my other comment to that is you should pick up for season two, plan for season three, all that
Mhm.
stuff. But at least you say season one, so it's intentional, because
Yes.
there is a very real thing called pod fade. And that usually happens around episodes 7 and 9.
Yeah.
And people are like, how come I'm not getting 100,000 downloads? And then they quit.
No. Like
So,
don't put it out there with that expectation to begin with. Like if you walk in with the right expectations, you won't get disappointed.
how many people have published books?
I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
It's I used to have this. I think it was 135 million books have been published in the course of lifetime or whatever. I feel like it
Yeah.
should be billion by now, but here's the thing: people are still publishing books. You're working on a book yourself, right?
Absolutely.
And that's the whole thing. Put content up and out there, you guys. Our technology has enabled a way for you to do it. Podcasts is the fastest and simplest and lowest cost of overhead to get
Yes.
that type of content up and out.
It,
So,
and plus, it's so easy to do now. Like when you're talking about seasons, like you're saying, okay, we're going to do 12 episodes around this. You could do that in a day and a half and just bulldoze through it. So you don't need to be in the mood to record on Wednesday. You just schedule everybody in these staggering places, bulldoze through it, and then you're good for 9 months, like 3 months, 4 months, whatever it is.
we call that batch recording.
Yeah.
And
And that's
one
one of the best things.
So we've got clients that will fly into our podcast studio to record, and I don't see them again for another quarter.
Yeah.
Just crank it out. I highly, for those that are really pressed for time, we definitely recommend like, okay, give me 4 hours here, 4 hours here, and you're done for 6 months. Depending on, of course, how long
Yeah.
you record for each episode and all that.
Yeah.
Your own endurance to talk that long, that's very important. Yeah.
Because that's something as an introvert, I know that I'm going to hit a limit if I'm talking to people like this all day. Like, as much as I love these conversations, there is only so much that I could be on for.
Right. Oh, yes. Again, hundo.
Yeah.
Totally agree. Is that recharge? You got to give yourself recharge time.
Yeah.
The other thing I do encourage people. Okay, so again, I produce for clients that typically have marketing budgets already established.
Yes.
But for a lot of the folks that you work with, if you don't have a dedicated marketing budget, you absolutely can still produce this type of content,
Mhm.
and there's nothing wrong with that. It is, my production agency is a kind that's like when you want to are to the next level as you grow. So again, Do think of this though. Set your expectations right. You're not going to have the Oprah Winfrey set when you're
No.
jumping up from the start with, you know, your phone as your camera,
Yeah.
right? So just level set expectations and grow into it. If you look at episode 1 of Joe Rogan, oh my gosh, it was not good
No.
for lack of a better term, but
Yeah.
that's okay. You can grow into it. So don't overproduce either, everybody.
No.
Just do it. If it's imperfect, and there's a saying, I say this all the time, there's perfection in imperfection. Roll
Yes.
with it.
It
Now,
it for me, my favorite phrase on that topic is a plan executed at 40% will always outproduce the perfect plan that sits in the drawer. Like, don't wait till it's perfect because it never will be. Like, there's always going to be some nitpicky thing you can second guess. Just give it a shot.
yep,
Like, and say, like, really commit to something. So you said the podcast fade. I heard 7 episodes is the average, like, dump off point because they aren't multimillionaires all of a sudden.
right, right. And look, peoples, my business exists because we are a convenience. Our
Yes.
value to our clients is we will offload the time and tedium of producing this type of content if you're doing post production work.
Yes.
Okay. There is a value in that. However, there's a cost to convenience, right? So understand if you're producing your own content and you're sitting there, you got all the software tools and apps and whatnot, but you're spending 8 hours to edit. Okay, you're now costing your business.
Yes.
Because if you, and this is a calculation I tell everyone simply, what's your hour cost for you to produce for your own business? I'm going to say for giggles, we'll say $100. Okay,
Yeah.
just because despite the Asianness, I can't math very well.
I'm yeah.
Yes, I did a stereotype.
I'm fine
Come
with
at
it.
me.
I did stereotypes against my wife. I'm like perfectly fine with it.
I was gonna say, Mike. Ooh, you get. I'm not speaking for you on that Italian reference there, but anyway.
Well, I'm a believer, like, the happy wife, happy life modicum. I'm a much bigger believer in the slightly annoyed wife, much more fun life. So, like, I just dial up that annoyance until I'm like, okay, now I got to step back.
Yeah, I'm trying to do the thing. You're pushing.
Yeah, I know the buttons. I know the buttons, and I know when to stop pushing the buttons.
That's too funny.
Until I don't, and then if I am ever murdered, my wife did it, and I deserved it. I will say that already.
Well, they say the true crime podcast audience is like 80% women. So just gonna go on record. Don't worry about it. We got you.
Yeah.
If you disappear suddenly.
Oh, I've got to find that comedian and find it. Like, I want to say it was Jacob Smith or something like that, but it was one of the funniest bits about his girlfriend's love of true crime, like documentaries, podcasts, and all of that. Like, women don't watch football because it's not violent enough for them.
Oh my god, that's so funny. It's so true. Like, no, I think it's, I don't know what, I think women just like that intrigue and mystery, and that's why I'm a huge advocate for anyone, and I haven't done it myself, but I'm like 100 supportive if anyone wants to do it, is bring back that noir, like, theater. I would love to listen to a fictional broadcast. I love classic radio, and I would love to hear those types of podcasts. Now, don't get me wrong, I love true crime, but I love, like, even if it's a recreation or not recreation, but like, just a pure detective noir story of like, but for the modern age, I would be all for it. All for that.
That would be a really cool one. If I had any skill for like voice acting at all.
I know.
None. I've got none. Like, I've got one voice and it's still not great.
And this is it.
Yeah.
Right there with you.
But like, that's such a big obstacle for people too. Like, getting over the sound of your own voice in order to do podcasting, or the way that you look on video in order to do podcasting, is such an obstacle for some people.
True. Especially where you're introverted types, for sure.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. You just got to get over it.
Do you want to know how I got over it? I could give you the trick that I've figured out.
Okay.
So I found out my own head is wrong. That my own perception of myself, both my face and my voice, is wrong.
Oh,
See, there's something called the mere exposure effect, MERE, like merely being exposed, mere exposure. And the more often you're accustomed to seeing something, the more comfortable you are with it, and the less comfortable you are with anything that's different.
nice.
The problem is the way that I see myself and hear myself is most often wrong. So the way that I see myself is literally in a mirror.
Yes.
So when like I have my neck that kinks a little bit to the right and my left eye squints that little bit more. So when I see myself on video like this, I look like Igor to me.
Oh, I'm
Because the
catching what you're
squint is
pitching.
on the wrong side and the head's tilting the wrong way.
No, that's really interesting because my mom, yes, mommy, I know you're watching. Uh, she's like, you touch your hair a lot. You touch your hair, and I do. That
Yeah.
is a they call it pacifying gesture
Yep.
in the body language world, and but it's
Yep.
also I don't put hair care product in my hair, so I have a lot of flyaways, and so if my
Yep.
fan's going, it's like so I am batting at times, but there's truth. Pacifying gestures is something that we all do. It's natural in our body language. It's what we do.
Yep.
It's different for every personality type, but for
Yeah.
sure, man,
Like
for sure.
that's a big one too, because I do it with my beard all the time. Like I do the old Confucius thing, like, that like from Kill Bill, like, oh, very interesting. Like I
Dude,
just do that all the time.
you've got such a great beard, man. Like I
Yeah.
can imagine, like yeah, I've got beard.
Like to have deep thoughts, I need to do this. But when it comes to my voice, I found out so when you speak, your vocal cords actually vibrate the little pin bones in your ear,
Yeah.
and it makes you sound deeper than you actually are. So for me, I sound like the Allstate guy. Like when I hear myself, like the "you're in good hands," that's the voice that I hear in my head. It's not what I actually sound like.
So
So,
I agree with you on that.
yeah,
I stopped. You know what it is? Actually, I made a LinkedIn post on this yesterday or day before yesterday. I was extraordinarily proud of my nephew. Shout out Brennan Hiltz and anyone looking for an intern in accounting. My nephew's up for it, or any other college student that you want to help out. Let me know.
yeah.
Apparently, I don't mind pimping out a lot of college kids. Oh, I can't use that word pimping out anymore. Shoot.
We have
Promoting.
PAS 36 who may be willing to help you with that.
That is hilarious, dude. Oh
Yes.
my god, bots. But anyway, so I totally got distracted. What were you talking about?
You were talking about pimping out children.
Yeah, prior to that. Oh, yes. So I made a post. So prior to that, so I'm the Dallas chair of a business organization called Global Leaders Organization.
Yeah.
And so we just had a happy hour on Wednesday. And I took my nephew because he's a junior in college going into senior year, and a
Yeah.
requirement is to do an internship, and he's majoring in accounting. So
Yeah.
I said, wait a second. Glow partners with the Alliance of Mergers and Acquisition Advisors. I'm like, hey, sunshine, you want an accounting gig? Pretty confident this group between entrepreneurs and the M&A advisors group, you're going to get everybody, right? You're
Yeah.
going to get all the finance, you're going to get all the due diligence, you're going to do all the risk mitigation, the M&A selling peoples and all that.
Mhm.
Like I go, Brendan, this is your opportunity to just put your stuff up and out there.
Yeah.
And like you, he is an introvert. He is
Yes.
very polite young man, but he is totally will not say a word to you. He will laugh at all the jokes
Yep.
until you speak to him. Then he will speak. He's like literally that stereotypical speak until spoken to. Like he would have been old school dream child, like
Yes.
right. But he did a bang up job. But
Yeah.
it's I think the mindset shifted though because he was wildly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But he also knew he had a purpose, right? It was, and he said to me towards the end, because of course you have to do, post, pre and post. And he
Yeah.
said, I was extraordinarily uncomfortable in the very beginning. By the end of it,
Mhm.
he's like, it just was practice. Like, oh, okay, I'll just say this line, I'll say this line. And it just got more comfortable. He understood from that first meeting that just keep showing up. Maybe
Yeah.
you might have days where you're going to rock it. And then there's other days where you're just like, not the mood's not there. And that's okay. But it's
that's
practice.
such a great point when it comes to podcasting too, is you can set this up so you don't have to be on all the time. So when we were talking about batch episodes, you can set it up where you have that half-hour break of total and complete silence in between it to just turn off, decompress, and then get back into the right mood.
100. And even I said it earlier, and I want to reemphasize this. You can pre-record
Mhm.
and premiere it live because
Yeah,
we understand life happens. So those that have live stream shows, I full disclosure, my Wednesdays 90% are live.
yeah,
But there's a good 10% chance that I'm like, nope, I don't have time. Like
yeah,
I've actually got money to make,
yeah.
got to earn.
Well, life
So
just happens. A doctor's appointment, a kid gets sick, or whatever.
100%. Oh
You
my god,
know.
how did that become my saying today? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, but so like, how do people get in touch with you? Like, first, who should be getting in touch with you, and then how?
Absolutely. So I do consulting as well. So if you're not quite ready at production or you want to produce it yourself, but you just want to make sure you lay down the foundation that's going to help you drive success, we do that as well. So in essence, we do this with a lot of our clients where they have a marketing department, they have an idea and conception of I want to do a podcast. We will sit down and do a strategy planning, establish your KPIs, really understand and work out what why means, right? Because in corporate, why is not the same why as the fire in your belly. It's got to be the corporate
Yeah,
fire in their belly,
yeah,
right? So very different conversation, but at least it will set the groundwork such that if they do want to do it themselves or they decide after giving it to interns that don't work out, then they send it our way or another production agency. At least the production agencies all see what the ground foundation is, and then we can work from there.
yeah,
So a lot of consulting is done that way. I'm always open to a basic conversation, basic questions. Obviously, I can't dedicate a ton of time, but if anyone
yes,
wants to reach out for a basic question or two, I'm always happy to help out. Um, you know me, open door policy. I will give you
yeah.
the time. If you become an ask hole, however, then the Sia smile is like, yeah,
No,
no,
no. There's no reason to continue to play like and give free consulting forever. Like,
yeah,
yeah, there's got to be a cutoff.
exactly. But I'm very gentle about it. Actually, not so gentle. I'm very
I'm not.
direct.
I'm not anymore. I've stopped.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, I've told people. Yeah, I've kind of said like, okay, like, I'm not a tiptoe through the tulips kind of person.
Yeah, no. Okay, so all thing live stream, digital content, podcasting. How do you remaster your podcast content? So this is another thing too. I didn't talk about, and just I know we got to wrap up, which is this. Congratulations, you did that season. You have
Yeah,
12 episodes. Well, guess what? You've got a huge library that you could leverage that existing content, and that's your season, not season two, but that's just your marketing for the next
hmm
6 months. So now you've really extended the life of your podcast. And by the way, a good podcast should be evergreen. So like this
yeah,
conversation is evergreen, right?
yeah,
So that's the other thing too is okay, how do you maximize your existing digital content? And that's something I've been noticing more conversations around, which is, hey, Sia, we've already done this, what else can we do with this content? And that's another thing to really get the most bang out of your buck and squeeze as much content
yeah.
as possible.
And that's like I love the idea for businesses. It absolutely has to be evergreen content, but
Mhm.
like it doesn't mean every podcast has to be evergreen content. There's a lot of people who discuss the news, discuss current events. Like you can't listen to a daily show, like watch a daily show episode from 2008 and expect to get the picture of the world today.
Oh gosh, could you? No, that's a podcast. Like if for pure entertainment, could you imagine like old news shows and just go, well, that aged well.
Oh, yeah, no. I that just sounds like a headache because then you'd have to watch old news shows and like yeah, like it sounds better than modern news, like but that's another diatribe altogether.
I'm not commenting.
Yes, no, like I'm ready to go down that rabbit hole too easily. So that's probably the best time to like kind of wrap up before I start putting on a tinfoil hat. Um, so
Next show.
tell
Next
people
show.
how to get a hold of you the best way, and we'll like kind of call it.
Absolutely. So hey, I'm a hundo percent. Almost. I think I'm going to change up my banner now. See 100%. You know, Yasotornrat. But anyway, that's so cheesy. Please don't do
Yeah,
that, people. Don't
no,
no. Okay. Anyway, you can always reach me on LinkedIn.
Yes.
So obviously, I live on LinkedIn. I believe very strongly LinkedIn is a wonderful platform. It is not the end all be all. Or you
Nope.
can always email me, SYYA at innovationcalling.com. I am on um, social media sporadically. I'm not an Instagrammer. It's just that's not my core audience.
No.
I haven't been on Twitter for a while. I didn't. You want to know how bad? I didn't realize I got banned from Twitter for no reason. Apparently, I got caught up in some rando like
Hmm.
algorithm, and they banned me. I'm like, why am I banned? I haven't posted since June. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
So I'm no longer banned on Twitter, but apparently it didn't matter.
Yeah. Didn't change anything, but yeah.
But it is at I am S Yasso if anyone cares for both
Yeah.
Insta and
In case you want to see the June tweet that got you banned.
like they apologize. They're like, oh, we're sorry you got caught up. I'm like, yeah, what the hell did I post wrong? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, so
Yeah. So,
but
but thank you so much. Anybody else, obviously, reach out to her. She's brilliant. I can't say enough good things. Like we've known each other for probably like 8, 9 months now, and you're like my go-to for a lot of anything video production related. So,
oh,
but
thank you, Red. You're awesome, Red. Anyone that doesn't know Red, or if you're getting to know Red, seriously, we had such really good vibes, and you gave me such great like pointers that I didn't think about. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm a 20 plus year veteran of sales myself, and you gave me so many like things I thought about. I'm like, damn it, where were you 20 years ago? Would have made my life hell of a lot easier.
well,
Maybe
the
I could have
problem was
retired by now.
I learned them all by making those mistakes over and over again myself. Like I had
Yeah,
to make that mistake a dozen times before I learned it. So,
yeah.
but all
No,
right,
you're awesome.
everybody.
I'm so excited for you. Everyone buy his book that's coming out and buy his training courses. They do work.
All right, awesome. But thank you so much. Can't wait to chat with you again. I'm sure we'll be doing something again soon because that's just how we are. But
Absolutely.
all right, but thank you guys so much.
Thanks, everyone.